到哪里？
我们要去南港锅仔。
南港锅仔，好。
对。373。OK， 373号。
欢迎搭乘。
那个是什么路？
什么路？
福德街。373。好。
That's what I was saying when I show them it written down. And then they get it.
福德街。
Is it J or?
福德街。Yeah, like J.
No.
对不对？
Because it's lane, right?
Okay,
that's why. I know intersection is Roto. And Blue is the street.
Street. Then is the.
I learned the word for intersection really fast because where I rode the bus to work every day, there was like a million because I went past Fujin University.
Oh, all the way there? Whoa.
Because I lived in Shinjuan. So yeah, there was a ton of big intersections, and so
You learned that word?
Yeah, so I learned that word real fast. I didn't say it necessarily, but I always recognized it. Thanks. I feel like I have a life and I just don't go working home.
Yes. We still need to go out to eat in one of those nice places.
We do. I owe you a dinner. Okay. We'll split it because we're both poor. I'm just still praising the Lord for that.
Oh, yes.
I just can't stop talking about it. I told Tina, I'm like, I know you think I'm crazy, but like, seriously, I didn't know how I was gonna get out of the country. I didn't.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Like, I was like, I have to eat every single thing in this freezer. Like, I can't get anything. I have to eat everything off the shelf in the pantry. Like, I won't starve to death, but that's what I have to do.
Yeah, I know what you mean. No, for me, well, I was gonna stay in July over at Danshui with my siblings. My brother is fine, but my sister, they pay her really weirdly, like once every 2 months or something like that, and then she also has to pay for the PEEP and all this like crazy stuff that she has to do. And so I've just been like, okay, no. And I was like, how am I gonna help her? I mean, I'm only gonna have half of the paycheck, and then I'm gonna have the money that I had saved
Yeah, I'm
up.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Just the money that I had saved up,
Yeah.
and then when I saw that, I was like,
Thank you, Jesus.
yes. So it means that I have.
told Tina too, I was like, Andrea too, like, she supports 2 other people. Like, we didn't know what we were gonna do. Like,
I was super stressed out because I was like,
well,
what am I
you
doing?
might, then if you do the Bushman thing, at least for part of the summer, even if it's just for a couple weeks, then you can, like, have some reserve in case you have an emergency.
You know, I have
Because, like,
to,
if one of your siblings, cracks a tooth, or you guys, like, lose your glasses, that's, like, 5,000 to 10,000 real fast. So it might be a good idea, even though maybe just make, like, a 2-week commitment, and then say I'll sub the rest of the time. I can only do this full time. But 20 hours a week, that doesn't sound bad. I mean, it's probably, that's what he said when he told me about it. But Bushman hours are weird.
Yeah, that's true.
4 to 7, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
prime time that you would not want to be with kids.
Yes, I remember that time.
But if you commit to 2, say, well, I could do only 2 weeks full time, and if you really like it or if it's worth it, because it might be heavy, and then you can say, oh no, I still don't have time, just what I told you.
I actually gave that to my sister.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what she needs to do for her thesis. She still has to ask the advisors again what to do, and after that, she'll see if she can work.
They are so rough to the foreign students because someone on my team, he's from Malaysia, he's
like I'm
He
gonna
doesn't have much money.
no, like what they do is I have a friend who had that happen
He's
to
leaving
him.
next week to go get married and then coming back here for a year and finishing it because they pushed it a year.
There's so many.
Isn't that like, yes?
No,
and
no,
then when he said, oh, I need a month off, I'm going to travel and go home. Well, why would you need to go back to your home country? Because I'm getting married. Like, they're so mean.
They are, and they don't
And-
really get that you are actually away
Well,
from your
see- But
families.
see, this guy, he's European, he's Polish or something. But I don't know how long he's been here. But, like, still.
No, look, like
Yeah.
I remember one of my friends. They wanted to keep him extra time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't a friend. It was like a friend of a friend. He was doing his PhD, and he was so good that they were like, "No, we want you to stay here." And they're like, "But,
done.
I don't know what it was. Like they were not gonna pay him enough or something."
Mm-hmm.
And so, or he was going to apply for another. Okay,
Program.
no. So he was a master's, I remember, and then he wanted to apply for a PhD, and they were like, "No, we want this from you, blah blah blah," and he was like, "No, like please, if not, I'm gonna go to another university," and they literally said, "I will not give you any recommendation. We're not gonna give you any recommendations. You either stay here or you stay here." And so he was like, "What?" And the payment was terrible. They treat him terribly. They take all of your research, and then they just
Yeah, they don't even give you any credits.
no, they don't. And you're just like dying. They don't care. I mean, they're super mean to you. I remember when we were studying, just like in general, they'd be like, because for them it's easy to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Pingdong in like the weekends. That's what they do, right? You know, and mom and dad always pays for their college.
Yeah.
And so we're here, and I remember this teacher being like, some of them live in the Caribbean islands, okay?
Yeah.
Getting there is ridiculously hard. It
Yeah,
costs like
yeah.
$3,000 at the time.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
ridiculous,
Yeah.
especially for a student, right?
There's a ton because there's like 2 students from the Caribbean islands on my team.
Yeah. Well, they have they have relationships with Taiwan, so that's
Mhm.
why there's a lot of them
Yeah.
here. But I remember him like, why don't you just go home, like in the middle of the winter break, like 1 month? And she's like, the girl was like, it's a lot of money, and it's gonna take me a long time to come back. It takes like 4 days.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, because in his mind he didn't get it that we couldn't see
No,
our
well,
families and
because,
we
like,
missed home.
No, they don't get it at all. But like, and also in this neck of the woods, I have gone to the Philippines for a long weekend. I have gone to Thailand for
Oh, yeah.
a regular weekend.
True.
I have gone to, Vietnam for a long weekend.
Yeah, and I don't understand,
They just
like-
don't know.
Like you back in the West, you can't just really. Oh, you have Brazil really close. Have you been? And you're like, no,
It's
it's super
also
expensive.
not-
It's hard. It's like
It's expensive and it's also not safe
No,
to
it's not
just
safe,
jump
yeah.
around.
no.
Because in Southeast Asia, it is relatively. I mean, you can't be stupid, but
Yeah, it's just gonna be like. But
no, they also don't get how every little thing is difficult. Because, like, I can't tell you, I was sent to go open a bank account. Like, really?
it is a completely different language. Do you understand? Like the logic is not the same.
See, that's
It's
why.
like-
So the bank account that I had for years and years and years, I was never able to transfer money in it because at some point when they set it up, I'm sure in Chinese they said,
you can't.
well, they didn't open that option, and I wouldn't have known what they were asking me if they
Yeah.
asked me in English.
Yeah.
And whenever they don't want to do something like an extra thing, so you don't want this, right?
It's true.
And I don't know what it is, and they're acting like I shouldn't. It's not necessary, so I always agree with them. I
Yeah,
can't tell you
'cause
how
you
many
don't
times it's
know.
caused problems. Oh, it's at
Exactly.
the bank. They never want to do that damn job.
Yeah.
I get so upset. It's like, because here's the thing. I recognize that I am in a country where I do not speak the language, and that is really bad on me. So when I go to the bank or the post office, I go when it's not busy. If I walk in and it's busy, I leave. Like, I understand that. I recognize that I'm difficult to deal with. I recognize, like, doing the international wiring thing. You don't do it every day. You feel uncomfortable. So I bring my previous paperwork so you can copy it. You can look at it. Like, I do everything I possibly can to make it easier on you. Like, I lay all my documents on the counter. You don't even ask me for them. Like, I realize that
Yeah.
and so then when someone doesn't want to help or they just don't want to do their job, it's not, Like, really?
It is stressful. That's why. I mean, I've only been.
Because here's the thing. I lived in Hawaii where there was foreign tourists all the time. If they had money, they probably spoke English. But a lot of times, you ran into people in Honolulu, and they're just so confused. And like, I
People would
wasn't
help
mean to them. I wasn't like the Japanese. Oh my goodness, there's Japanese tourists everywhere. I mean, all the
imagine.
signs in downtown were in English and Japanese.
Well, okay, that's.
And if you can speak Japanese, like any of the college students that spoke Japanese, basically during all of their breaks, they would work for tour guides and make enough money for their whole year for tuition. Like, I mean, they would not have a life. They
Yeah.
would not see their family. They would not, they're sleeping, eating, and working. But like, then it's done.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
So, but yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know. It's college life here is really hard, especially because they just make you memorize everything, and then
It's
they
their
act like you're
teaching
stupid.
style.
Yeah, they act.
Because I can't tell you how many times I started Chinese classes working full time. Can you imagine doing this all day, then going to a class, not getting home until 10 o'clock at night, and then waking back up at, I wake up at 4:30, go running, then go to work
Ugh.
with children, 4-year-olds, and you want to get mad at me that I don't speak the language? Please tell me that you wouldn't. Really?
My brother, his Chinese teacher, purposefully made 40% of their grade attitude. So if she sees bad attitude, she takes points off. And she's the meanest person. Like, she gives them like horrible tests, things that like they clearly have not
Yeah.
seen, and
Yeah.
they tell her like, hey, we have not seen this yet, like you haven't
Yeah.
explained this.
Yeah.
She's like, well that's on you. And then she just like starts speaking to them in Chinese.
That's
She's
how my class
inconsiderate.
was. Like,
Yeah,
all of
they
a
just-
sudden, we had to repeat, do a sentence pattern, and did I miss the directions? Like, everyone's going around the table saying something. Like, when it's I don't even know what to even
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, what did you want us to do?
My teacher, I remember in college we had a basics level one, and then we had like a normal class.
Oh,
that
I'm
we
going
had
to
in-
pay for this because you paid for the other one anyway.
And so the lady in our main class, the one that we had to take because it was college, she was like, she gave me a name, right? And she's like, man, my first day, and I'm just looking at her like, huh? And she just kept on it. I'm like, can't you see that I don't understand? Like, I don't. What am I gonna answer to you if I don't get it at all? Like, and I was just looking at my classmates who actually did know, and I'm like, what is
And
she
no one's
saying?
helping you. Yeah. Isn't that awful? That's what I hate the most. Like, help someone. Yeah. So anyway, I was cleaning out all of my stockpile of beauty products and things because I don't like to run out because I've been places where you can't get a hold of stuff.
True. Yeah.
International shipping shuts down. Things happen. I just have it's one of my fears and anxieties. So I'd just rather have the money to stock up. Anyway, so I sold a bunch of it, but I'm going through things I don't really need to take this with me. It's relatively cheap to buy in the States, I have a couple items, and it's really good acne stuff it's the Ordinary company, and it has salicylic acid in it, so maybe your sister might be able to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If she ever comes around, she can look through the stuff, or I can send you pictures.
yeah,
I can
that's
send her pictures. Because I might need to, I don't know what she knows. I didn't know anything about
No,
skincare until I
we
talked
do,
to
yeah.
that person.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to treat people. That's another thing. People are like, really? You didn't know you needed. Why didn't you tell me? Help someone out.
I mean, I think that for me, the reason is
Because
I don't
it
like
changed.
doing
See, I had teenage sisters
Mhm.
that taught me, but in the 80s when they learned that, there were new things. Now we know
Yeah.
not to use certain products. So
Mhm.
I didn't get the new 2000 intro to skincare.
Well, there's a lot of videos online that are really good.
There
From
are, and I
doctors,
recently in the
really
last
good
year started doing a ton of research.
Yeah. My sister and I, because my sister also
右转。
对。
好。
公车的公车站的旁边。
好。
So it's not Nambian, it's Fambian?
the side.
这边。
Okay.
对。
The only reason it's I
等一
think
下哦。
it's with an N sound, Nambian.
Oh,
is when we-
Nabian is like that way.
Okay, because when we do exercises or warm up in Dragon Boat and we switch sides, the person that's leading it always says Nambian and then switches sides.
Really? What does that be? Tuobian.
See, that's why I know what I'm supposed to do, but that doesn't mean
That
that's
这就
why I
好。
don't repeat things.
对，这里就好了。
And
Yeah,
when you sit
150
on the trunk. Oh, money, I have to press.
谢谢搭乘。下车时请注意后方来车。
Sorry. Just had a I'm sorry.
好，谢谢，
好，谢谢。
谢谢。
Question is how we're gonna